This is GARIS Masculist MGTOW flyers. That is 2 3-page essays on the themes of masculism and MGTOW, written by and read aloud by Prof. Dr. Hugo de Garis. This is flyer number 402, entitled Controlling Your Girlfriend with Masculist MGTOW Ideas. Description. This video lists 10 ways that masculisted MGTOWed men can better control their girlfriends from being monoconscious feminazi bigots, that's MFBs, monoconsciously arrogant, from being man-slaving fluffy parasites, etc. Flyer itself. Controlling Your Girlfriend with Masculist MGTOW Ideas by Prof. Dr. Hugo de Garis. Email profhugodegaris@yahoo.com. Website profhugodegaris.wordpress.com. This flyer, just a minute, I'll make it a bit bigger. This flyer gives advice on how men who have already absorbed masculist MGTOW ideas can better control their girlfriends so that the latter do not take advantage of them with feminazi values. This flyer begins with the basic assumption that a man need not deny himself the pleasures of a sexual relationship and companionship with a woman in order to avoid being trapped into a traditional man-slave role of paying for a kid he does not want, nor being a man-slave to a fluffy parasite, etc. This flyer shows how it is possible for a man who has absorbed masculist MGTOW ideas to get the best of both worlds with his girlfriend, namely the sexual joy of regularly penising her vagina and the pleasure of her companionship she gives to him, with all the pleasure hormones that these send to his brain, without paying the traditional price of being a man-slave, nor being harangued by a monoconscious feminazi. I begin by giving a list of bulleted masculist MGTOW tactics that a masculisted MGTOW man can use to control his girlfriend, so that he is not abused by her nor controlled by her. Later, I will elaborate on these individual points. Bullet. Avoid fluffies like the plague. Bullet. Tway twef. Bullet. Tway twef by 4-3-ing. Bullet. If she tries to feminist you, masculist her back, shutting her up. Bullet. Tell her she must be nice to you or you walk. Bullet. If she wants a baby, walk. Bullet. Make her bi-conscious so she's not an MFB. Bullet. Get her politically active to vote for the men-fairing of the gender laws. Bullet. Teach her masculist science so she's not feminazi arrogant. Bullet. Tell her she can't manipulate you with female tricks since you have MGTOW knowledge of female psychology. The above 10 points are off the top of my head and are probably just the tip of the iceberg. Probably, if you've had both your masculist and MGTOW consciousnesses raised, you may be able to dream up further points, further ways that you can control your girlfriend so that you get the best of both worlds. That is, you benefit from the positive aspects of a sexual relationship with a woman and her companionship without suffering from the usual negative aspects of a relationship with a woman. I now elaborate on each bulleted item in turn. Bullet. Avoid fluffies like the plague. This is probably the most basic of advice that a masculist can give a man. Fluffies are traditional women who expect to be able to parasite off the money and labour of a man. Fluffies are vermin to masculists, since they are seen as manslavers and hence slavers, and so are to be hated. Masculists punish such women severely by exterminating them, in the sense of totally ignoring them, not even pumping and dumping them, so that their fluffy parasite genes are removed from the gene pool. Masculist tells society that to be a fluffy is to be a manslaver, which is something to be spat at. Masculists aim to wipe out fluffies and put enormous moral pressure on women to FIP up. FIP equals financially independent person. Or be punished by being manless, and hence loveless, sexless, babyless, and rejected by society. Masculists have an even greater hatred for fluffy feminists, who are seen as hypocrites. It's bad enough that they are fluffies, and hence hated for being manslavers, but they're also hypocrites, since they want equal rights with men in the parliaments, but reject equal obligations with men in the divorce courts, by not sharing equally the burden of earning the living, by not bothering to get a career-competent education at high school and college, so as to become a financially responsible FIP as an adult, pulling her financial weight and not expecting to be a hated fluffy parasite of a man's money and labour. Masculists want the establishment of a masculist group in every high school and campus, so that young women, especially young women at age 16, are powerfully morally pressured by their male classmates to choose to study career-competent majors, so that they don't become what the masculists call fluffy crappers, who choose to become fluffies as adults by not bothering to FIP up, by choosing to study fluffy crap majors, that is, the soft option, the intellectually easy, intellectually lazy, memory-based subjects like English literature, languages, history, geography, etc., instead of the hard option that requires analytic thought like math and the sciences, that will allow them later in life to earn a good living and not expect to parasite off the money of some stupid, gullible manslave who is not bothered to have his masculist/MGTOW consciousness raised. It's the aim of the masculists to wipe out fluffies and fluffy feminists by punishing them so severely that their genes are removed from the gene pool. The masculist aim is to so powerfully socially engineer society, that is, by creating a FIP society in which all young women are socialised by parents and educated by teachers to be FIPs, close brackets, that young women will learn that it is absolutely taboo for them to be fluffies, and if they are, then they should expect to be spat at, reviled, rejected, cast out, pariahed, exterminated. Masculists advise men that the core idea of the masculist is that masculism is essentially a rebellion by men against being man-slaves to women, against working for women. Masculists tell society that it was men who liberated women by giving women, with their 10% smaller brains, who are incapable of inventing anything, building anything, the contraceptive pill, household gadgets, science-based medicine, a female life expectancy well into the 80s, higher education, etc. So that even those women who have their 2 kids still have a career window of half a century. So the masculists stand up and point the finger at women, stating with considerable moral force that now that women can work, they must work. Anything else is manslavery, and manslavery will eventually get women killed, since manslavery to masculists is slavery, and slavery is hateable and a war issue. The masculists are at war against the fluffies and fluffy feminists, aiming to wipe them out, to exterminate them, by ignoring them to death. To masculists, fluffies and fluffy feminists are to be avoided like the plague. They are seen as vermin. Bullet. Twef. To twef means to 2A, 2F, that is, 2 apartments, 2 FIPs. That is, both the man and the woman have their own apartment or house, and both are FIPs, so that when the relationship fails, as most do, then the 2 of them simply walk back to their own apartments, cost-free to the man. There are no kids, so no child payments, since most men nowadays are aware how toxic the divorce courts are to men, since they were taken over by the hated fluffy feminist hypocrites who see men as cash machines to be abused and robbed. More on this later. There's no alimony, since the woman is a FIP, no losing half of his wealth, since the woman is a fip. By tway-twaffing, a man gets the regular sex and companionship he needs from a woman, without paying the traditional horrible price of being a manslave to that woman, working for her, manslaving him for decades, so that she can raise her kids in a middle-class house that he pays for. The woman is forced to be nice to her man, or he can so easily just walk away. Both of them know this, so if the woman starts nagging him, withholds sex, or tries to mould him the way she wants, then he simply walks away. The only thing keeping the relationship together is the quality of the relationship. If she lets down her guard and starts behaving negatively towards him, then he walks away and out of her life. The reverse is also true, of course, so that the relationship is much more civil, polite, than traditional man-slave based relationships. This is the end of part 1.